But then something happened that made me question all of this and made me realise just how hard really letting go is. And even when we think we've done it, maybe we haven't done it. G'day, I'm Debra Caldow and welcome to the Red Giraffe Solutions Expanding Worlds podcast, where we aim to support you as you help your young person with additional needs plan for their future. A future where they are safe, secure and live a rewarding and fulfilling life. From around the world, I share stories and share solutions from people making this possible right now. I'm a parent of a young person with additional needs, so I understand the challenges. Many of the people I've interviewed on this podcast have already helped me design a better future for my daughter, and I hope that they might help you as well to imagine what's possible for your young person. Like many parents, I'm a member of some online groups, in part to learn from others, but also to share what I know when it's relevant to other people. Some people also use this forum to talk about the things that worry them, and I can honestly say that the number one issue is about the future, and what that might look like for our children when we leave them. A couple of episodes back, I explained that I worry less about my daughter's future because she has a life plan, so that brings with it peace of mind that she'll be okay. Well, something happened recently that I want to share, which made me realise that despite all this, my unspoken concerns about her future are still there, just under the surface, and they have the potential to impact on her, and not always in the best, most positive way. A couple of weeks ago, in my conversation with Laura Davis, she talked about not letting our fears impact and influence our young people's perception of what they can achieve. I've always presumed my daughter would get work, and one day will be ready to live independently. So I kind of thought I was doing all this pretty well. But then something happened that made me question all of this, and made me realise just how hard really letting go is. And even when we think we've done it, maybe we haven't done it. My daughter has a paid job and recently celebrated her first anniversary there. Yes, we played a pretty important role in getting her to where she is for sure. We've moved house, and I actually found through this podcast an amazing organisation, Team Dominica, who through their supported internship program helped her get this job. And of course at home we support her around all the things she needs to do at home as part of getting ready to go to work. Shout out to her father, who's the one who taught her to iron her uniform. It definitely wouldn't be something she wanted me to show her for sure. Having spoken to employers on this podcast, I often hear that parents and families and carers can be as much part of the problem as the solution, especially around expectations, mostly where we worry if our children can cope with the work environment. I did an interview recently with a job coach, and I asked her that question, how much should we get involved? And she said we shouldn't really get involved because we're not trained to support our young people in the workplace. In our defence, I'd say that we get told so often, especially when our children are younger, how much they can't or won't be able to do. And of course, when we look for support of any kind, including monetary support, we have to focus on what they can't do and explain the worst case scenario to ensure we get some support. So it's not surprising really that sometimes it can be hard to let go of these ideas and suddenly realise that maybe our children will be okay in a workplace. Anyway, I thought I was one of those parents who stayed out of things, providing input at home but leaving the at-work issues rightly to the organisation supporting her and her employer to deal with. So when we got a call to go into her workplace, we were surprised and worried in equal proportions. What happened at that meeting was that we got very subtly told to stop getting involved even at home. When I say we, maybe it was me, but the message, although subtle, was very clear. My fear of her not keeping her job was having a real impact on her at work. And we needed to get over ourselves and learn to trust her and to trust her employer as well. Now, I can't deny that right now I see her job as the most important thing in her life. It's going to shape her future, and I've seen the impact it's already had on her life and how she feels about herself. And of course, there are all sorts of other great things that have come out of her having a job. Not least the fact that she now has money she can spend on herself. But it's also that self-belief and that confidence and all of those things that I'm really loving seeing in her. But what's been happening is because she's not great at always communicating what's happened in her day, she comes home from work and says certain things that have happened during the day, and I've headed straight down that tunnel of worst case scenarios, wondering if maybe she's going to lose her job, how terrible this will be, and that's clearly been impacting on her. My fear for her has the potential of undoing all the good work that she's done to keep this job for a year. And even more than this, I'm doing her a massive disservice by talking the talk but not walking the walk, of giving her that dignity of risk, that right to fail that we all must have. So how am I doing so far? I'm doing okay. I'm not overthinking every small thing she says about work. I'm trying really hard not to think about all the scenarios, because honestly, I've no idea what happened or what it really means. It's also reminded me to enjoy where she is now, and to give her the respect she deserves. Because if she loses her job, I think she'll deal with it, and I think she'll find another job. If I don't believe that now, then I'll never believe it. And let's face it, if I don't believe it, how can I expect her to believe it? I mentioned earlier what Laura said about not letting our fears impact and influence our young people's perceptions of what they can achieve. But she also said that as families, we'll always be there to pick up the pieces. I doubt very much whether I'll ever be able to step back completely and not worry. Because in some senses, that's the burden of the future. And ultimately, that's my job. But that doesn't mean other people don't care. It doesn't mean that other people won't always be there. But the fact is, I won't always be there. And I think this has been a really useful lesson for me in planning for my own obsolescence. I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to listen. And I hope that the stories and the solutions shared on here help you as you support your young person to create their future. And if you know anyone who would find the ideas useful, please share the podcast with them. Of course, if you want to, you can leave a review, because that is another way families who need this information can find it more easily. This show is created as part of Red Giraffe Solutions. To find out what the Red Giraffe is all about, visit redgiraffesolutions.com, where you'll find more resources around daily living, relationships, purpose and financial security. I'm at Debra Caldow on Instagram and Facebook. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to have a conversation with you on any of those. Bye for now.